Hello and welcome to this week's episode of the DADA'S show, coming to you straight from the Kenya Bay Beach Hotel at the Mombasa coast. I'm your host, Ashiko Mbune. As always, the DADA'S show is an inclusion and equality program that focuses on issues that women hold dear and near to their heart in light of the August 2022 general elections, focusing on their impacts and their implications. As always, we encourage you at home to take part in this conversation by joining us on all our social media platforms at the DADA'S KBC. We look forward to hearing your feedback, your comments, your questions, your answers. Whatever you have to post, we are always eager and willing to hear from you. Now, sexual and gender-based violence is a particularly disturbing phenomenon around the world, and Kenya is not an exception to this particular brand of brutality, which affects women and girls in particular. When Chief Justice Martha Koome presided over the launch of the SGBV, sexual and gender-based violence, SGBV, is a particularly disturbing phenomenon which affects all regions of the world. Kenya is not an exception to the rule, to this particular brand of brutality, in particularly women and girls in the coastal region. When Chief Justice Martha Koome launched the specialized SGBV court at the Shanzu courts, it was applauded by everybody, considered as the steps in the right direction. On the 10th of March 2022, that was a date that most of us will live to remember. As people in this particular area, we would like to know today, what has the impact and the implications been to have this particular court, the specialized court in this area? Do they understand the complexities and the intricacies of a court system such as this? So joining me today is a panel which will dig deeper to the effect of the specialized SGBV court in this area. But before we do that, let's have a look at the following feature.
The number of gender-based violence cases has been on the rise in the coastal region in the past years, with Kilifi County recording a high of 200 cases in January and February 2022 compared to the same period the previous year, according to county statistics.
Na wale wanaume pia ambao wanapigwa na wake zao, ni hali ambayo kufikia sasa tunawarai wajitokeze, waeleze hali zao katika taasisi za kiserikali.
Serikali ije mbele pamoja na washikadau, tuungane mikono, tukomeshe hizi dhuluma za kijinsia hapa Kilifi na katika Kenya kwa ujumla.
In the report, the youngest victim of sexual and gender-based violence is a 2-year-old baby girl.
We also have our child protective volunteers, our CHVs, our gender defenders, and our paralegals. All of you are working towards one goal. We have been going round, and there are quite a number of facilities that have been launched. And as I'm talking now, we have 46 integrated GBV facilities within our public facilities, and also adding on to the private.
Resource mobilization needs to come at grassroots level. We need to be empowered with expertise to ensure we are able to resource for our own selves.
The report showed that in 2021, a total of 700 cases were recorded and 5 resulted to teenage pregnancies. Sadly, 80% of sexual gender-based violence cases are being settled by village elders, denying justice to victims. The rise in sexual and gender-based violence cases has drawn attention from different quarters, with Coast Women Rights Movement asking the national and county government to move with speed and establish gender-based violence recovery centers and safe houses in the 6 coast counties to cater for gender-based violence victims.
The only way to do it is to deal with it firmly. So we are working very closely with all the actors because it needs a multi-agency approach.
The judicial system has joined the fight against sexual and gender-based violence in the coast region as Chief Justice Martha Koome opened first ever specialized sexual and gender-based violence court at Shanzu Law Court in Mombasa during the inaugural celebration of the United Nations International Day of Women Judges in March 2022. Speaking during the opening, the Chief Justice reiterated judiciary's commitment in ensuring the sexual and gender-based violence cases are dealt with and asked the courts to employ the no adjournment policies.
Have a budgetary allocation deficiency of 21 billion because we were allocated 18 billion. we have an infrastructural capacity deficit. We have about 34 courts around the country that have not been completed. And you know how difficult it is when you have put resources to build a court. And 3, 4, 5 years down the line, those courts are not completed, they cannot be used, and your resources are sitting there.
Before the opening of the specialized SGBV court, Kilifi had the lowest SGBV cases clearance of 44%, Mombasa 60%, and Kwale at 65%. Chief Justice Koome says the court will ensure that victims of sexual and gender-based violence will get justice. Since the launch of the court, victims of SGBV in the coastal region have a place to run to and their cases being settled in record time.
Is that for the judiciary to be able to effectively discharge our mandate, we require allocation of resources. We are absolutely prepared as the judiciary, and our preparedness is in terms of training of the judges, magistrates, and all the judiciary staff who will be handling the petitions, disputes. The tribunal is in place. Recently, we have increased the numbers of the members of the Political Parties Dispute Resolution Tribunal.
Welcome back. So joining me to discuss this is Madam Grace Olo, who is the Programs Officer of the Ujamaa Center in Mombasa. Next is Samir Hashim, who is the Mombasa County Gender Officer. And finally, we have Ms. Stella Mwende, who is the GBV survivor. Karibu sana. I will not fail to acknowledge my lovely audience who will be taking part in the second part of the show in the question and answer session. Now, to start us off, we will move over to Madam Grace Olo. We were obviously besides ourselves when the launch of this specialized court got here, and we felt that it is about time that this happened, not only for this particular region, but for the whole world. And we feel like this, we hope that this is going to be precedented with other, launch of other specialized court. Now, for our viewers back at home, what is the impact and the implication on society having such a court within the community?
Thank you, Ashiko. As you said, my name is Grace Olo, Program Officer Ujamaa Center, in charge of advocacy and networking. First and foremost, I want to thank the judiciary for finding time and finding it right to have a specialized court, which is one of its own in the coast region. For one, the reason as to why we had this court was for prompt attendance to an agency of the sexual gender-based violence cases. Secondly, it was also to restore confidentiality and dignity amongst the victims of the SGBV. And you find that one of the impact is that there is a well-coordinated structure when it comes to these cases getting to court, as opposed to the earlier decision. Remember, our constitution gave us a right of having dignity, a right to human life, a right to human rights issues. And we realized that one of the courts that were set aside was the environment and land courts. And we used to ask ourselves, as much as land courts are important, what about the issue of the human rights, especially the sexual gender-based violence? And it was the right time for them to bring this. Secondly, we had a number of cases, and I believe my colleague from the county will be able to give us, even if it's not the exact data, but at least some overview on how the cases will look like. And because of the backlog at the normal courts, it was not easy to fast-track these cases. And you find that mostly children used to take a longer time, and justice delayed was justice denied. So the important and the implication is that the cases are easy to fast-track now. There is also a well-coordinated structure on how these cases are supposed to be followed, and there is also an prompt attendance to the victims of the SGBV. So to that, we say kudos to the judiciary. Yes. We know a lot has still been done. And as partners of also the judiciary, they will still also make awareness to the community and just people in their region. Remember, this is one court in the entire region. And then in the region, we have 6 counties. So we are also trying to still make awareness on the importance of these courts and why the citizens of this region must make the use of this court. So that we also tell the judiciary, we thank you for this court, this is how far it was. And that's in terms of cases, in terms of the attendance, in terms of the services delivered, and in terms of how many perpetrators have been, have been arrested and arraigned in court. So that is the implication. Yes.
That's fantastic. That is great news, especially for the whole general area.
Yes.
Because we do know, like I mentioned, we do know the complexities
Exactly.
of SGBV cases. You know, we
Yes,
need
yes.
to protect the witnesses. We need to protect the victims as well. Speaking of victims, Madam Stella, unfortunately, you have been a victim of SGBV. First of all, I want to applaud you for your courage to actually come and sit on the show. I am sure that this will not be in vain. Kindly share with us your story.
Thank you very much, Asiko. I am a GBV survivor. I survived through the grace of the Lord. And after the what do you call this? After I was assaulted rather. It was really hard for me to get justice because this is somebody who's we have no relationship, we don't know each other, just a client at my place of work. So I actually really tried to get justice, which, as you know, in Kenya, it's very hard. But thank God for Sisters for Justice came through for me. Otherwise, it is really hard to get justice in Kenya.
So what do you feel the impact would have been if a specialized SGBV court would have been around during your unfortunate incident?
I think it would have been a bit easier, yeah, but apparently there's none around, yeah.
Okay, hearing what Madam Stella has said, what does the SGBV landscape in the region look like, Bwana Samir?
Thank you so much. I think before going to where I'm getting this number of cases, I'd just like to briefly say that during COVID-19, we were able as a county government of Mombasa to launch a GBV situation room whereby all the cases will be reported there. It's a one-time center. There are counselors, there are social workers, so psychosocial support, counseling, and also the process at the court, and also in terms of health, there's someone who can just direct you and assist you. So allow me to share the data. I just have my report here.
No
so
worries.
Since the launch of the situation room, we have 1,272 cases. This is in the whole county of Mombasa. But just to be specific, that we have the center at Tononoka. This is in Vita sub-county where it covers the whole county, and also at Shangam we opened also a GBV situation room last year on May. So on this data, this is the total number, but we also have a male, just to be specific on how this varies. 306 of them have reported that they have been abused, and the female, which we know that is the majority, 558 of them have been reported. And also for the children in this during COVID time, the closure, and this pandemic has a lot of restriction, the isolation, that most of them were abused and sexually. So around 388 of them were abused in different kinds of GBV, and also for the person living with disability, they were able to report after we trained them, around 20 of them. So just to look at the areas that have the most of this data, it's Mvita sub-county and Kisauni, where Mvita now the domestic cases is on the rise, and Kisauni the sexual violence cases, especially in Junda and the farthest area of Makerunge, where it's not reported most of the time. So to just in line with this data, we have seen that we have around 143 defilement cases, and these are our children. They have been abused, and most of the time the perpetrator is usually the relative, the neighbor, as not a stranger. And domestic cases, mostly of the period, no jobs, around 613. Early marriage as well, child neglect, rape, and sodomy. So a lot of cases were reported, and this is because of the center now and the accessibility of these services, whereby the mwananchi can just come and share what has happened. Yes.
I mean, the data is staggering and it's a bit scary. However, the fact that they do have a place to report is something that is commendable, as opposed to sitting, at home in their villages and cowering away. So at least now we know that that's the first step to, to go to even getting the perpetrators to get justice done for, victims such as Stella. Now, still on you, Samir, just a follow-up question to that. What do you feel? Because the court is pretty new. It's still new, it's still in its infancy. What do you feel like the impact of the specialized SGBV court at Shanzu is going to have on the community?
I think this is a brilliant idea, that especially on that day when the Chief Justice, Martha Koome, came in here and launched the SGBV case whereby we were able to be part of it. It's able now to fast track these cases because we are talking about the victims. Some of them are children. And the cases, the moment they take longer, this child, she goes on or he goes on and they narrate the story. So we are taking them on a program of psychotherapy for 13 weeks. And then after 2 years, they're still on the same process. Yes. So it brings back the healing, and they're not healed yet because they'll have to come and share the same story. Yeah. So it's going to fast track for the community. I feel like Mombasa has been blessed because it's the first specialized SGBV court to be launched here at Coast in Mombasa, and the plans are still going on. Also in Kilifi, we'll be able to have the same. But for the community, I think now the cases can be able now to have that confidentiality of the case where the child now can feel that I'm okay, I can be able to share this. And it's a one-time center where there are also counselors because sometimes the victims are not able to share. So for the community, it will be a very big bonus to them, especially the fact that it's just near here in Mombasa. Yes.
Thank you so much. That's well put, Samir. Back to you, Madam Olo. Based on your experience, do you feel like the general public is aware of their rights and the due judicial process that that takes place in seeking justice, especially in matters SGBV?
Not really, Ashiko. There are a lot of things that are at play that contributes to communities, for instance, not coming out. For instance, the data that Samir has just shared, this is just for those people who reported. But because of the culture and the where we come from, it's a bit difficult for sometimes people to pursue gender-based violence issues or to pursue justice. Because, for instance, if I'm a mother, I'm married, and my only source of income, I'm dependent on the man that I live with. So sometimes pursuing the judicial system or the justice system becomes a challenge unto me. However much we are saying, we still have a lot to do. We need to do a lot of community awareness, especially make people understand what is it in there for me, what are the benefits of me pursuing my rights, what is the empowerment that we need to do to the community. So we still have a lot to do. As you said, the court is still at its infancy stage. Yes. Are people really aware? So if you get people like Stella, who has really benefited from the system, and the perpetrator was appended. This also will bring confidence into to the survivors or to the victims that at least something is being done. Again, there we need to have the judicial getting out. For instance, they always have a legal awareness week. So in this legal awareness week, we need them to be in the community just to share what are they doing at this specialized court and how can they be assisted. As we talked about, because we do things we are coordinated. That's why we're talking about the situation room. All of us who are in the SGBV center, we have a very clear pathway, a very clear referral pathway. But so many people outside there, how many are outside there to know? So we still have a lot of work to do. And we thank God for programs like DADA program, because it's also something which is going to create awareness. And from watching this show, somebody is going to realize, oh, there's a specialized course that even if I'm in Tana River, I'm in Taita Taveta, I can still get justice through this court. So still awareness needs to be done, and help the court also to go outside there and just say, this is what we are doing. They are also supposed to make their social pages very active. For instance, we know we have youths who are very active on social media, and most of them are also victims. If you realize the data that is giving, then most of the people who are also victims are very young people. So how do we make them also understand? And this one can be also on social media. So how does the judiciary also make use of the social media to send positive messages outside there on awareness on what they do, so that it increases the people's capacity in understanding the role of this specialized court in Mombasa. Yes.
Thank you so much, Madam Olo. That is well explained and understood. Speaking of dissemination of information, Stella, if somebody is at home right now and they're watching the show, and of course they're applauding you for your courage, what would you want to advise them? And maybe they have gone through what you've gone through, but perhaps they're afraid of the stereotype and the stigma. What advice would you want to give them?
There are so many institutions around that one can get help. For instance, in Mombasa, there is Sisters for Justice, there's Haki Africa. Those are institutions one can go and get some help from, because the police in Kenya are not totally reliable unless you have something to chip in to get help. Then you can get help. But if you have nothing to bribe the institutions I've mentioned, you don't have to bribe them for anything, but they're there for us.
Thank you so much. So it's important to note, if you're at home and you have experienced a similar situation, a similar unfortunate situation, you're not alone. There are certain institutions that have been set that you do not need to, cough up something or any kickbacks to get assistance. We are going to move on to Samir, who'll say, what role, actually, and this is a curious one for me, especially in the coastal region, a place where religion and culture plays a very, very key role. What role, and stereotype as well, what role do you think that plays in the rising cases of GBV in the area?
I think in Mombasa, the culture, it actually plays a very huge role in terms of also increasing these cases of GBV. When we are talking about early marriage, especially to the community that we are coming in, children of around 13 to 14 can just be easily married off. And this is been happening in Vita and in Kisauni, some part of it. So it shows that the culture still also plays a key role in increasing this number of cases. When we are talking about FGM in some part of Turkana, it's also culture that, it make these cases to increase because they have accepted it. But when talking about the national government or what the county are doing, there have been policies that have been put in place. We have the national government policy on FGM. We have the Constitution of Kenya where it protects the rights of every person. That is something that has not supposed to be done. We have the Sexual Offences Act. We have the Victim Act. So in as much as the community increases, I'd also like to say that it plays a role also to decrease this, because the community, if they are informed, if they are sensitized, they are educated, they can be able now to, go back to their community, have some forums, the barazas, say that this is something we can work on it. It's not allowed, but it has been a challenge as well on that part of it, yeah.
Okay, thank you so much, Samir. Yes.
The issue of myths and misconceptions also contribute to the issue of SGBV. For instance, there was a myth and misconception about cleansing when you have HIV and AIDS and you have a sexual intercourse with a child.
True.
It helps to cleanse yourself. And I had a case where a 5-year-old girl was defiled just because of that myth and misconception. But this person believed that if I cleanse myself with a young girl, I'll be free of HIV and AIDS. So those are some of the things that are also contributed into this. As he talked about the issue of culture, where women were related to issue of dowry to the parents, so it's a benefit. So this forces young girls to get married off because in one way or the other, a parent is supposed to do what? To benefit from upbringing. The issue of the environment where we live in. Our coastal environment is a relaxation environment. And we are in the life of the beach.
We are right here.
Yes. So this has also contributed. And if today, unfortunate, if you walk around this beach place maybe in the evening, you will find very young girls in these beach hotels because the perception that there's sex tourism amongst our children. So the environment also contributes to the issues of sexual gender-based violence. Another issue is the issue of poverty around this place. That people, because of the poverty that person in, we have had incidences where you want to rescue a child because the mother told this child, wewe pia nenda katafute, you see. And where is this girl going to tafuta? Definitely she's go outside. And she's a 10-year-old girl. So poverty also has contributed to the issues of sexual gender-based violence. The issue of family setup, as he says, for instance, if you get to where we live, it's an issue of an uncle, a sister, a brother. So our family setup also contributes to this thing. So when it comes that my child is sexually violated by my brother-in-law, it will not be easy for me to get out and speak about it because, this is a family affair. Let's finish it here. So those are all some of the issues that contribute so much into the SGBV and this region. But as he said, that there are policies in place, and I know now Mombasa County is working on a sexual gender-based violence of a policy that they just want to see, and also the sexual gender-based violence at the workplace. What happens at the workplace? Because we talk about these things outside, but I believe that even where you are, you face sexual harassment.
Absolutely.
At your
Stella's
workplace.
case, it was in the workplace.
Yes,
so
it was in the workplace.
It's indiscriminatory.
It's discriminatory. So we are saying when it comes to issue of sexual gender-based violence, no person is safe. Whether it's a child, whether it's a man, whether it's a woman. It doesn't matter what career level you are. The other day we saw our CAS for health. She was giving her story. The first time she experienced gender-based violence. And some people thought that at this level she can also experience that. So we said gender-based violence does not discriminate. So can we work in these policies? Can we make awareness? Can we go outside there and give our voice non-discriminatorily? Because it affects men, it affects women, it affects children. Yes.
Thank you so much, Madam Grace. That is really well put. Before we go on a break and then come back for the question and answer session, what are some, I do not want to use them as guidelines, because like you said, this is indiscriminatory. It can happen to anyone. It can happen at whatever time. But especially now that we are getting into the election period, what are some of the, do's and don'ts that you would want to put across to our audience on how to sort of just protect yourself? Yes, we are aware that these things can happen, but it is also not a way to live with reckless abandon.
Exactly.
So Mr. Sareb, would you have some of the guidelines that you would want to share before we move on to Madam Grace?
Yeah, I think it's very important, especially during this political season, that even the study shows last week that most women are going out to campaign for these political seats, and also to campaign for their leaders who they want to choose. But what implication does it have at your surroundings, at your home? When you're going to campaign, it increases the rate that these children that you have left, the marriage is at stake, and the children can be easily abused. So what we need to do during this time is to avoid most of the time to go to these campaigns, and ensure that the area that you're going for these rallies are very, very safe. Especially, we know that areas like Kisauni, the issues of insecurity, make sure that the area is well protected, there are security officers, and at this time, don't just be used. Ensure that all the time, whatever whom you are supported is someone who has manifesto that can, the next 5 years, assist you to process.
Thank you so much.
Proceed, yeah.
Thank you, Ashiko. For women, once know your time. What is your time for campaign? Schedule your time properly, that after 6 you are not supposed to be in the campaign period. Secondly, work very close and create a rapport with the security personnel around your place, so that at least they help in intelligence gathering. When you go to the ground, what's happening? Thirdly, prior, send your people to the ground so that they might help you to be able to understand, is the ground safe for me? So that they help you for the feedback session. Again, we have toll-free numbers that have been provided outside there, starting with the police, different organizations. Have this. Control the use of your social media page. What do you post? So that you do not also expose yourself so much. And in this, I say, differentiate your campaign social media page and your private and personal social media page. It's very key, so that to avoid exposure. Another thing is that set a special group of friends. Like we have an app in our phones that is called Signal. So go to Signal, put those numbers, people that when you think your security is compromised, when you dial, Shiko will know that Grace is in danger. So that at least we have those things around us. And then always have somebody at your back, who is your person at the back. And again also, I also encourage women, prepare your family. And family, it doesn't matter whether it is your sister you're living with, whether it is your daughter, whether it is your husband, whether it is your parents. Because the outcome, how are they going to manage the outcome?
Which is true.
Yes, so I think those are some things that are very key.
Those are fantastic, and I believe they would actually be good for us to, we will post them on our social media pages, especially at this particular point when we are heading towards the August 2022 general elections. Doing a recce at the place, observe your time, have a toll-free number somewhere you can call, have an accountability partner who knows that if you don't check in at a certain time, that it's a cause for alarm. Always control your social media. I cannot emphasize that enough, because we have seen incidences where somebody's political social media forum is the same as their own personal, social media. So you're having anybody and everybody accessing your personal life. They can see your children. They can see where you're going to school. So it's important for you to be able to compartmentalize your life and be able to protect the people that you love and the people that you care about. Because at the end of the day, not everybody wants the best for you. So we're going to take a short break as we marinate on that. And we'll be back for the question and answer session.
Imagine waking up to a majestic sunrise. Imagine an early morning walk on unspoiled sandy beach. Imagine the tranquil tide slowly creeping up to your feet. Imagine the breathtaking views of the blue skies over the glorious Indian Ocean. It's time to capture your imaginations. Book a beach holiday at Kenya Bay Beach Hotel, Mombasa, and turn your imaginations into reality. Prominently located along Bamburi Beach, North Coast, Mombasa, Kenya Bay is the perfect resort for a memorable beach vacation. The setting is just a prelude to an excellent potpourri of romanticism, practicality, pleasant amenities, and personalized services that will totally mesmerize you. Kenya Bay Beach Hotel. Book online now at kenyabay.com or email reservations at kenyabay.com or call reservations on 0725 991 500.
Olivia Wanjiro. Mimi nimekuja mali hapa kutalii, ni mkaji wa Nairobi na ningependa sana kuongea kuhusu gender based violence, vita ya kijinsia haswa ya kike na pia ya kiume. Manake pia siku hizi tumeangalia pande sana ya kike tukasahau pia ya kiume kwa sababu pia hao wanapitia. Lakini pia nazingatia pia ya kike. Gender based violence tukiangalia kwa upana na urefu ni kitu imekuwa ikifanyika, ni kitu imefanyika mtaani, si ati ya maskini ama ya tajiri, hata pia matajiri wanapitia. Kwa mfano, unapata mtu ameolewa ni mke nyumbani. Bwana ni mtu anakunywa pombe, hataki kuulizwa swali yoyote akifika kwa nyumba. Amefika hakuacha pesa ya chakula. Kwa mfano anakuachia shilingi 20 jamani. 20 hiyo ndio sapa, hiyo ndio breakfast na hiyo ndio lunch. Kusema ukweli utatoboaje na shilingi 20? Wewe mwenyewe umeenda huko umefanya kazi, umejaribu kupiganisha mahesabu haziingii. Kusema ukweli hata na corona mnajua vile hali maisha ilibadilika, watu wengi wana biashara, tuliumia, kabla uchumi irudi mambo yalitokea mengi. Sasa pata mzee kazi iliisha, ndo huyo anashinda kwa pombe kwa sababu mental health is real. Unapata mtu ako mzee ni mzee wako na ako depressed. Anatumia masaa kwa bar, ameacha shilingi 20, kazi iliisha. Akirudi anataka pati umekula, umepika, pia anataka kukula. Ndio huyo asiulizwe swali yoyote, anakuja usiku. Kusema ukweli hata kama ni wewe, huwezi kubali kukaa na mtu kama huyo. Utamuuliza maswali, ukiuliza swali, kofi, ngumi. Kujaribu kuondoka kwa hiyo ndoa, manake wanawake tunaangalianga nikiondoka nitaenda wapi na kwetu kuna shida. Nikiondoka watoto watafanya Sasa wapata waka kwa ndoa inaitwa kuvumilia, wavumilia, lakini kupitia hiyo kuvumilia mwishowe tunaumia. Unapata hata mwishowe, ndio maana unapata hata kuna pia vifo zinatendekea kwa sababu mtu yakana kuvumilia akisema nikirudi kwetu ndanzia wapi, ama mamangu juu ya aibu ya mtaani ataambiwa na majirani mtoto wako alirudi atakaa kahaba, anakuambia urudi. Sasa we mwenyewe unakaa kwa bwana kupitia kuvumilia jamani. Mimi nasema kitu kimoja, kushinda uvumilie, kuzaa sio ulemavu na si mwisho wa maisha. Aliyekuweka ukiwa tumboni kuna ule anaitwa Mungu alikuwa anakujua na kona future na maisha yako. Utajipata hata wewe mwenyewe utaondoka na kupitia tu hatua ya imani. Usidharau biashara yoyote, weka biashara unaweza lea. Kuzaa sio ulemavu. Tusiweke ati wacha nivumilie nikipigwa nipigwe. Tulisikia Nigeria kuna mtu mwanamke alivumilia tu hivyo akiambiwa vumilia kwa ndoa, alipigwa kaaga. Sasa kuliko tufikia hapo pia kuaga, haina haja. Afadhali ukiona prevention is better than cure. Kuna pia hii nini pande nyingine pia huwa tunaangalia. Unapata pia mwanamke umeenda labda club, umekunywa, hujui huyu mtu vizuri. Umepelekwa pali mpaka kwa msitu jamani. Kusema ukweli, number plate hata hujachukua, hujui uko na nani, hujaambia mtu niko na mtu fulani. Tunakuja tunasikia tumeambiwa mtu fulani aliuawa pali fulani. Kisa na maana ni nini? Hakuwa anajua huyo mtu, hatujui kuliendaje, hatujui kulikuwa vipi. Ndio maana hata mimi nasema hata kama ni wewe, hata kama umeitiwa drink na mtu jamani, weza get to know this person very well. Usiende tu kwa sababu watu wanaendanga. Mambo yanafanyika nyingi huku. Kuna pia ingine ya mabenten. Umeenda, umechukua benten, umekaa naye kwa nyumba. Benten na maanisha vijana wadogo. Kusema ukweli, saizi economy mnaona ni kubaya. Pia wanang'ang'ana waishi. Unapata amepata pale mwanamke anaona yenyewe hii inajipa na inaweza, na kusema ukweli akimwangalia anaona yenyewe huyu ameweza, nikienda pale ndapata pali pa kujifunikia na pali pa kulala vizuri. Kwani nani hataki kufurahia maisha? Nani haipenda vya bwerere? Mwenyewe wafika pale, we mwenyewe umekubali, umemchukua vizuri, umemweka mwaka moja, unamfukuza, watakaende wapi? Ndio mwishowe mwasikia hata watu wanauawa kwa manyumba, hata wanawake, kwa sababu ule bentena anaona amepotezewa muda, labda mmekaa mpaka mmezaa naye, anaona kuanza tena upya, amepoteza muda mrefu, kwa sababu si kila mtu ako na strength ya kuweza kuwezana na maisha. Kuna ule ataona ako wasted, kuna ule ata make wise decision, na kuna ule mwenye ni weak hataweza kumake. So ata take anger to the other level. Utapata atakuwa so bitter, design ako ananifukuza niende. Labda ana makao na ulikuwa umezoea nyama imejaa kwa fridge, hajazoea kuweka token, umemzoesha hiyo maisha, umemfukuza, ataanzia wapi? Unapata ndo wanawake anachorewa, unapata hata amefanywa kitu kibaya, kisa na maana nini? Ameondoa ule benten ana uchungu juu anaona amepata sasa mtu mwingine, anaona huyu amenidharau, ameangukia sponyo pale, atakasirika, ni binadamu. Kwa hivyo pia sisi wenyewe tujilinde, hata kama pia kuna sheria, ni jukumu letu kila mtu aweze kujilinda. Security pia inaanza na wewe. Kabla askari atembei na wewe kila pahali. Utasema ati unajua ile kona kuna mwizi na kuna police station pale, wacha tu nitembee na simu, itaenda. Polisi ndio atafuatilia, lakini itaenda. Tusifanye pia vitu vingine kimakusudi. Na usivumilie pahali ati kwa sababu ya watoto. Angalia pia maisha ya wale watoto, ndio utapigwa ukifa, nani atawalea? Mama wa kambo si mama, nani atawalea? Kama we mwenyewe unang'ang'ana nao, baba mwenyewe yuwalea na wewe ukienda watakaa vipi? Kwa hivyo kuna jambo mingi tuwafaa kuangalia, na pia wakati unapitia hizi violence, manake hata pia tunapata pia wasichana wanapitia, kwa mfano kijana amekataliwa, anapiga, anagandamiza mwanamke kila wakati. Report huyo mtu. Hakuna haja tunakaa una risk na hujui ya kesho mtu ataweza kufanya nini. Ukipokea vitu kama hizi vita, hizo threats, kuna vituo za polisi, enda ukareport. Kuna mtu fulani anashinda kiniattack hivi, ananiambia hivi na hivi, na watakusikiza. Just in case of anything watakuwa wanajua. Usikae ati tu ukisema hapana. Kuna vitu pia kama rape. Ningependa pia kuongelea vitu kama rape. Mara mingi kwa society tumeishi tukijua si ati inakuanga hivyo ama ati tulifunzwa hivyo. Mwanamke haezi ji-express kwa sababu ya uoga, naona watu watanibeba vipi, society itasema vipi, na si yeye kutaka. Tunafaa kuelewa kurepiwa si kutaka, si ati ni wewe ulipenda ama ukataka. Kuna pia hiyo kitu ningependa kuongelea sana, hiyo issue. Wengi wananyamazia na ni gender based violence kwa sababu wanaona labda ametishiwa, ama mwenye amemfanya hivyo ni mkubwa, anamwambia utanipeleka pahali, ama ni mtana na huyu atanifanya kitu kibaya. Hapana, kuna sheria na si uchukue hatua mikononi pia kusema ukweli. Lakini usikubali tu kukaa hivyo. Kuna vile pia zile measures unafaa kutake, kwa sababu namba moja, umerepiwa, ujaenda hospitali, umekaa hivyo, umeficha, umenyamaza. Kuna pia magonjwa aina mingi. Before 72 hours lazima uvisit kituo cha polisi na pia hospitali watakudirect. Ya pili, after hospitalini lazima pia polisi wafanye follow up ya kutafuta huyo culprit, manake atafanyia pia mwingine. Break the silence. Tuache kushinda kunyanyaswa ati tunasema society inanibeba hivi, nitaambiwa aje, ati tena unanyamaza ati ukisema watu watasema nimerepiwa. Kwa sababu kusema ukweli unapata mtu, kuna wakati encounter hiyo kitu, nilienda pahali msichana alikuwa amebakwa. Kufika pale wanawake ndio wanasema alijitakia. Jamani, kusema ukweli, badala wamshike, na msichana mmoja alikuwa mpaka na bleeding, badala wamshike wampeleke hospitalini, hawakufanya hivyo. Ilibidi wakati tulifika pale na marafiki zangu, tukachukua huyo msichana tukampeleka hospitalini na ripoti tukaenda tukaandikisha, na akasaidika, na huyo mwenye alifanya hicho kitendo akapatikana na sahi yako korokoroni. Kwa sababu ya nini? Tuempower pia huku ndani pia wanawake wajue kurepiwa sio kutaka na si hatia. Break the silence. Usikubali huyo mtu atembee na yeye mwenyewe amekuja najisi bila we mwenyewe kutaka.
Welcome back. Now we are on to my favorite part of the show, which is the interactive session, the question and answer session. We will start off with Belinda. Belinda has a question for our panel.
My name is Belinda, and I have a question to the panel. Two questions, actually. I believe you have the toll lines and various people are reaching out to you. So how do you guys have to verify if these people are genuine or they are just guys who are gaslighters and they turn out to be the penetrators of GBV? And then I have another question to Shamir. I believe you are a representative to the male, and you represented them in. So what are the strategies your department is using to increase male voices in reporting GBV cases, and how do you convince these men to come out? Because you've given us the numbers and the male are very few.
Thank you so much. I believe those are very good questions. How do you verify the authenticity of these phone calls? Because this is still, taxpayers' money, So how do you verify the authenticity of some of these call-ins on the toll-free number? I would like Madam Grace to take that. And then Samir, you will take, how do we get more he for she ambassadors out there? Because these women have brothers, these women have fathers, these women have, you know, they have husbands. How do we get the more men involved in this? Because at the end of the day, this is not a one-person problem. You know, for the women, you know, this is a societal problem. So we are going to start with Madam Grace. How do you verify the authenticity of these things?
Thank you, Belinda. For one, the toll-free numbers are coordinated. And by the end of the day, the information reaches the intelligence officers. And if you do communication with the tone and the grilling, we'll be able also to help you know whether Shiko is serious or this is somebody who is joking. And this comes from the tone. You know, when you are a victim and you are scared, it will be easier to tell. And if it's somebody that is not authentic, even responding to the next question will be difficult. So one, we work with the intelligence to verify that the information is correct. Secondly, if it is an authentic, when we reach the intelligence, they send people to the ground. For instance, if you tell me, I'm a woman, for instance, I'm at such a place, I'll look for the nearest person in that place. For instance, Naila, Sisters for Justice, Kisauni, can you reach this place and find out what's happening with this person? So in that coordination, we'll be able to know very fast that Belinda is at risk. And that will help us also take the next course of action.
So there are ways and means to ascertain
Yes.
the authenticity, which is very encouraging because as much as they're ascertaining the authenticity, they're also coming to somebody's aid.
Yes.
So you do have a network of how you operate. It's just
Exactly.
not the toll-free number.
Yes, yes.
It's a whole sequence of processes.
Exactly.
Thank you so much. That was well answered. Samir, how do we get more he for she's in regards to SGBV?
So the fact that GBV has been seen like it's a women, something that is affecting most of them, but also we have seen in the data that
Yes.
around 300 male
Yes.
have been abused, either sexually, physically. So what the Department of Youth, Gender and Sports Mombasa County has been doing since the launch of GBV's training room in May 2020, we've been able now to train more male, especially who are youth and also religious who are male, and the community leaders on gender-based violence to make them understand what GBV is, what are the laws, where can you report these cases, and also to make them know that there is a safe space to go and report. And actually at a situation room, I'm actually sitting there the whole day, the whole week, and there are also other male officers who are there, and also in Changamwe, just to make it a safe space for them to come out. But also the training that we have been conducting, we've been able now to have identify male champions in every sub-county that can be able now to share this information, to create these safe spaces for them, and also we are supporting them. We have a CBO, Jikuze, where one of the trainee has actually taken an initiative to have a CBO and also to conduct these outreaches. And also what the government is doing, we are ensuring that all our gender programs, it's gender inclusivity in a way that also male are part of it, especially on GBV trainings. So when we are training them, we have them understand this information, and also it process this, the data has been able now to show that most of them are able now to come out and report these cases. So for the department, we have been working with various institutions such as Sauti ya Wanawake, which them also launch Sauti ya Wababa in Likoni, and other stakeholders that are at mashinani level, to have them include gender programs that will have more male to advocate for GBV, because this is very key, where the perpetrators are mostly male. So we cannot just talk about GBV without including them. They have to be involved in this to reduce this number of cases. Yeah.
Yes. Thank you so much, Samir. I hope that question has been well answered, Belinda. We're going to move on to our next question or comment. This is by Naila.
Thank you so much. Mine won't be that question. I'm Naila Abdallah, and I'm a gender activist in Mombasa. And today here I want to recommend this DADA'S show to this panel. One is one of my mentor. She's our mentor on the gender issue, and one is one of my client, Stella Mwende. I want to recommend, and Samir, of course, from our gender county. I really want to recommend this session, this program, and encourage my survivor, Stella Mwende, for coming out very soon. It has not been an easy journey to insist, because we know on gender cases, on GBV cases, takes long. Issue being corruption, issue being police negligence in terms of statement and many other obstacles that most of our people, most of women outside there, they feel it's cumbersome. We know judiciary system is very expensive. You can't even afford an advocate to come and support for you. But as a gender activist, I would like to recommend anyone outside there who is watching this show that there is always a right for everyone. Just look for any place. For example, what Samir said, they have a space, safe space. You can come to human rights organization, gender activists, and stand up for you. Never keep quiet on GBV cases. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Naila. Thank you so much. It's always really good to get affirmation, to get appreciation for the work that we do. We are focusing on making sure that women and girls across Kenya are heard, and we give the voice to the voiceless, because remember, on the DADA'S show we say a woman with a voice is by all means a strong woman. So I appreciate every single person, and thank you, Naila, for the affirmation. We do appreciate that. I believe our next question is by Maureen.
Thank you so much. My name is Maureen Magak. I'm the Executive Director of Lend a Voice Africa. I'm also the Director of Gensparkle Ubuntu Enterprise, which is a recruitment agency providing job for young people to end gender-based violence. My question to you is, this is a political season, and women get it really rough, and especially in terms of cyberbullying, where their private, consensual, sexual clips go around, and this is weaponized against them to discredit their moral standing as leaders. So would you know any strategies that maybe the government or county government is putting in place to protect these women political leaders, so that even when such clips come out, they are not used against them to discredit them as leaders who have good moral standing in the society? Thank you.
I think that's an interesting question. In cases where videos have been leaked, and of either sexual explicit content, is that what we're talking about? Okay, so sexual explicit content, or even that, besides the point, maybe even the ladies out somewhere having a good time, if we sit down together. I think for me, I would be feeling like perhaps don't shoot those videos in the first place, but that is just my opinion. However, in the event, we're looking at now, we're not doing the preventive, we're doing at mitigating the outcome. What has been put in place to protect our aspirants and our sitting female member of parliament from cyberbullying? Let's actually refer to it as that, cyberbullying, be it videos, be it what,
For one, I know there's a law that protects on the issue of cyber,
Yes.
and that law covers even women aspirants. And as Ashiko said, I always tell women, don't make promise when you are excited, and don't make decision when you are in anger, because these things have a repercussion on our lives.
Absolutely.
So however, in which position you are, please let us avoid taking, and especially the nude pictures for women, let's avoid that. We've seen this, it's been used against us, so let's be very serious. On again, the issue of protection on women who are going for seats outside there, there's an arrangement with the police and the security, that if you feel that you need a security from the police, you need to write a letter to the nearest police officer, then you are assigned a police officer for you during campaigns. It's a law there during elections, and you are entitled to a security from a police officer, but you have to request for the security. And this is something that most of our women doesn't know. So it is something which is there. You can walk the nearest police station, request, say, this is my campaign schedule, and also make sure that you share your campaign schedule with them, so that at least they also help in arranging on how you can get that security officer. But there's a law, it's called a cyber, and I know there's a commission on that is working on it to protect women.
So we've come to the end of today's very interactive and informative, insightful episode. It's important for us to note that SGBV is not a one-person issue. It's not for men, it's not for women, it's not for kids. It's a societal problem. So let's come together, hold our hands together so we can be able to rid our society of this menace. As always, I look forward to hearing from you on all our social media platforms at the DADA'S KBC. Share your comments, share your stories, share your answers, share your feedback, everything. thinking. We would like to hear from you in regards to this episode and any other episode. So on behalf of my production team at KBC, our location partners at the Kenya Bay Beach Hotel, and my partner Journalists for Human Rights, we want to thank you for tuning in, and we will catch you same time, same place next week. Bye-bye.